Hello dear chess friends, welcome to new course, welcome to first chapter and first game. This course would be about Hikaru Nakamura's legacy and you will find out why people worldwide like to watch him and very often they actually root for him in his internet and over-the-board events. First chapter and first game would be about his Blitz games and masterpieces made in his Blitz games. First masterpiece, I choose it to be the game he played a bit early in his career, 2009. That was Donostia, San Sebastian actually, playoff tournament in Blitz. Hikaru Nakamura played and won this game with white pieces against former FIDE world champion Ruslan Ponomarev. Let's see what happened in this game and why I chose this game. Nakamura opened with e4. Response was c5, knight f3, and d6. After all these moves, we get on the board Scheveningen, where Nakamura decided to go for Keres attack, popular and so dangerous in middle of previous century. Patented by Keres, that was something black players tried to avoid this or that way with delaying moves with e-pawn or maybe with some other move order. But definitely that was not something you would like to face as black pieces in, let's say, 50s and 60s of last century. h6 was played. This stops white's expanding for a while. Bishop g2. White can prepare g5 with f4 or h4, maybe even with rook, but it is indeed possible to play g5 immediately. Yes, you crush your structure, but you will get g5 spot for your bishop, where your bishop will be monster. Later you can go for something like h4, rook g1 with pressure even on g5. But let's follow the game. Bishop g2, knight c6, h3. Now white stopped. He delays action for better times. Why? If black castles after bishop e7, pawn h6. Actually, this pawn would be the hook. You will attach your attack with g5, and later that attack would be even more dangerous after king is placed on g8. Black played a6, which looks strange, but okay. Black wants to continue in classic Scheveningen manner. Bishop e3, and black played knight e5. Idea is to plan knight c4 in some good moment. Bishop e7 is here a more common move. Queen e2, opening d file for the rook after castling, preparing knight c4, preventing knight c4 and preparing f4. And black played g5. Excellent move. Normal to fight against f4. By the way, b5 will prepare knight c4 anyway. For instance, f4, this, white gives away the bishop, but black doesn't have time to take it. Diagonal is open after all these moves. That is absolutely dominant for white. Black king is stuck in the center. Pawn d5 is extremely unstable. White has threats on e file after playing potential e6, and that is absolutely dominant for white. So that was correct decision to play g5 here. But f4, game becomes so sharp. Knight fd7, black supports the knight, castling, and b5 was played. After b5, black renews threat of knight c4, and all that looks so normal. What would white do here? What would be your move here? What should you do here as white to continue with your initiative? Well, definitely pawn e4 blocks 3 your pieces, and you should not allow that in your games. You should play something to liberate these pieces, and Nakamura played queen f2, not only to control that diagonal that can be important, but also idea is to put attack on f5. Black king is practically forced to stay in the middle. Castling queen side is dangerous. Castling king side is even less realistic. So black is practically forced to stay with king there, but that is not so tragic for black because knight on e5 practically controls whole board. Without that knight, white would play e5. All his pieces will come to attack. h1, a diagonal would be open, knight e4 would be a resource, but without chance to play e5, it is difficult for you to prove you have dangerous attack. King b1, natural prophylaxis. To be fair, not needed, but okay. Queen b6, normal move. Rook hf1, normal move. Bishop e7, normal. Bishop e3, opening and targeting the queen, and queen c7. It is time to stop. White is on the move, and it is time for him to find continuation. Definitely, black knight e5 is monster and far the best piece on the board. So, if you see opponent piece dominates this way, you should try to eliminate it. And white tries to eliminate knight with knight f3. After this, rook will start working on d file, and there are more chances on f file. Knight on d4 is very well restricted piece, nowhere, almost nowhere to jump. And if some sacrifices like this or that doesn't work, that means knight is badly placed. Sacrifice on b5 is unique realistic, but after taking queen a5, attacking knight, attacking a2, there is just nothing white threatens, and that's not something you should go for. So knight goes back. Idea is to eliminate knight e5 to make pawn f7 easier accessible and more vulnerable. Of course, black is on the move. He decided to overprotect this pawn, but this is first move to criticize. Black should go for knight c4. Bishop e3 is so important piece. Bishop c1, b4, knight e2, rook c8. That gives black excellent play. There are threats of some knight jumps, maybe at some moment to a3, who knows, with discovering c file for attack. Pawn f7 is safe, no dangerous jump possible from knight f3. Even if so, knight d7 would come to e5 to defend pawn f7. Black does great here, that is so evident. So what should black do here? Is knight c4, rook f7 was played anyway, and this is another move we need to analyze deeper, and another important moment to stop. What would be your decision here? How to continue right now as white? Well, you can eliminate knight e5. Let's suppose you do it. Black will take with knight, of course. What now? Let's suppose you insist in eliminating this knight. You will probably play bishop b6, and after queen moves somewhere, let's say there, to play bishop d4. After queen c7, you can do a3 to prevent potential b5. And what can black do here? Let's think position. Let's think about the position. Doubling is possible, but there is nothing on the file because you cannot play b4. To play a5, not possible because you take knight b5. Even if rook is on c8, c2 is well defended. On other hand, you cannot do anything with your central pawn groupation. f6 is possible to make this pawn safe, but you will weaken e6 and g6 points. If you wait as black, I can take in some moment, but I can also play something like this to improve my play against f7 pawn. Moreover, after taking, I can maybe even triple on the file to attack f7. I do not want to say that is so dangerous. Probably it is not. But black king stays in the middle. Black doesn't have promising and logical moves. And also, you can try this or that way. Practically, you have a lot of time to organize whatever you want. Not easy to find anything promising, but once again, black will here stay without any active plan, and that will give you time to organize whatever you want. That would be the best continuation for white. In the game, he played immediately bishop d4, which is not bad, but that gave black chance to play b4. Knight a4, knight c4, and knight d2. Fantastic move. Why? You are ready to eliminate e5 knight after it comes there from d7 with your bishop. But first you need to eliminate this knight, and same time you open file for your queen and rook, renewing attack to pawn f7. Also, you have threat at some moment of this. Don't forget, racers, if black insists in keeping knights alive, you have even knight b6 to eliminate the knight. Knight c e5 here objectively would be the best, but white can do this. And after exchange to do this, queen goes somewhere, and you go back. You go back with chance again to eliminate this knight this or that way. But black played rook c8, and now white got a chance to outplay black, and he didn't spoil. Of course, there are threats to your c-pawn. If you wanted to exchange knights and opponent allowed it, you should continue with it. Knight c4 is logical, and queen c4. But what now? Would you exchange other knight? Well, that might be risky, because here, who knows if you have compensation. I don't see anything you have for offer pawn. Black king is safe in the middle. d6, e6, f7 pawns are safe. If black king is in problem, if white pieces go extremely active somehow, don't worry, that is mighty and dangerous counter-attack to c2. There will be permanent counter-attack, where you can even go on with your pawns maybe to help this counter-attack. So at least black would be just very good here. So what you do? What would be your move here? How to improve actually? First of all, there is no special need to blunder or to sacrifice your pawn on e4. Generally, you can try, and you should try to improve without risk. That is the best possible, possibly the best you can do in chess. To improve without any risk. That is absolutely the best if possible. Games of Petrosyan, Karpov, and Capablanca just are great example for that simple logical advice. But how to improve without risk? Actually, how to improve at all? f7 is stably defended. To attack it, you need to do something to rook h7, but that is not possible at the moment. All your pieces are centralized or well placed. Maybe the exception can be knight a4, but it easily can go back to the game via b6, if that's something you want. But is that something you want? Can you do anything better? Yes, I'm talking about your knight on a4. If you think like this, you will get crazy decision, but very good here to play b3, and after queen moves, to move back. Not to d3, maybe even there, okay, but to c4. Attacking this, getting ready to exchange knight if it comes to e5 with your knight, to keep the bishop. You know, if opponent plays knight here, okay, probably you would not take with the bishop, because you see, you stay with weak dark squares. We'll see about this in the game. Probably you would exchange it with your knight. That's why knight b2 is good move. Let me say that after queen c7, in case of this, now pawn e4 is not attacked, and you can do this, and you get important tempo. Tempo is always important. And rook d2. What's the idea of rook d2? You liberate queen for the action to play somewhere, because you protect c2. Also, you defend bishop on g2, so at some moment even e5 open diagonal can be option after you remove the queen. So this is seriously better for white. Third thing, you can launch attack on d6 this way. You have everything protected, and you can attack this pawn this way. That's how you can play this position. So it's not evident how black can defend d6 pawn 4 times. You can put your Rooks on d-file, bishop to f4, queen to g3. Black is in serious trouble because he lacks harmony. Rook h7 helps only to pawn f7 but doesn't affect on other problematic punct. This time I'm talking about d6 punct. So what happened in the game is queen b5, knight b2, you already know it, and knight e5. Black wants to fight and to set knight in the center. Okay, what now? Would you take or not? White took, and that is very bad decision. That's the move I need to criticize. Sorry, Hikaru, but I need to say this move is bad. This is not logical, and computer even approves this criticism. The best move suggested by machine is just slow improving move rook fe1 with annoying idea of bishop f1 and then offering knight to exchange. Two mighty bishops will target queen side. Later you can switch probably to attacking d6 pawn and black would be in problem. Even his queen side is just compromised with pawn advance, and white gets punkts a4, c4 and mighty diagonals for bishops together with pressure on d-file. Black is in trouble. Nakamura played bishop e5. Probably he was obsessed here with play on e-file, and de was played, which is for me optically less logical. He wanted forever to block this pawn. I understand, true, there is logic, but somehow that allows white to play knight c4 effortlessly, and that was played. With bishop taking with queen, maybe that will bring black chance later to control this diagonal, installing battery with threads. Maybe black would be able to play d5 later to attack this mighty knight that would be sooner or later installed on c4. This is possible, but knight c4 would come with the tempo, and here probably queen c5 remains. That must be better for white, because after this rook f2, white has something like e5, and white knight is better than opponent bishop. Probably this can be option. Idea is also to double and to invade if possible. So, moreover, white can keep queens on the board by attacking the pawn, trying to provoke this weakening move, which would be probably even the best option. Keep queens on the board where you have safer king, right? That's so logical. d-e5. Black felt his king is safer after this, but let's see if that will get validation. Knight c4, natural move, better than knight d3. It blocks c-file. There is intention to play knight d6. And black, without any specific reason, without being in so dangerous situation, decided to sacrifice. Why? That is just, there was just no need. What should black do? Call move queen c5, controlling d6, after taking and invading, and king e7 and bishop c6. Black does absolutely great. There is rook d8 move, but what for? Nothing concrete to get. Rook c5 is stable. If needed, there is rook c3 to get this rook defended. I'm talking about this tricky continuation. Black has counter with h5, and if g5, then h4 with then rook g7. So there is attack to e4, there is rook c3. Black does just great here. But okay, let's go back to the game to summarize situation. Rook c4, sacrifice without any specific reason. White takes, queen c4, and black doesn't have attack at all. There is no attack, there is no compensation. What can white do here? Let's count material. 5 pawns against 6 pawns, extra exchange, so black has minimal material deficit. But the problem is he practically plays without rook. Yes, white bishop is bad, but white rooks are so active and queen can be active. Evidently white would invade with queen. It is question to play queen a7 or queen b6. Nakamura chose queen b6, and this is move that wins the game. This invasion wins. Queen c8 here will, after rook d3 and connecting rooks on some file, lead to lost position for black. Probably rook d1 and rook d7 would be the continuation. If black plays queen c6, let's see, that was played. Once again, you are on the move. What would be your decision here? Well, who has safer king? Definitely white. Does that mean white should keep queens on the board? Absolutely. Indeed, white should keep queens on the board. And queen a5 is played move. Why? First of all, you attack both pawns. You threaten in some moment to d8. After doubling, of course. Black must do something with rook, with rook to activate it, but the problem is he must protect pawn e5. And if black does this, there is beautiful winning move rook d8. You deflect the bishop, black must take because of mate, and you take the queen. So black should play practically f6. That is, as I told you, help to rook, which controls 7th rank, and there maybe rook can find some chance to get back into the game. Now rook d8 is not threat anymore because black has king f7 square to escape. What should white do? Black is ready to escape with king to f7 in some moment, right? How to make our rook dangerous on f1 again? Well, simply by playing h4. Idea is to open f file with g5. And just imagine, without pawn on f6, rooks are controlling d file and f file. Any diagonal check would be the mate. And now motive is born. Play g5, open f file, deliver diagonal check, which would be mate. Black played rook g7, bishop f3. White is working on this dirty move g5 with threatening the mate, or maybe some deadly check. Rook g8, and question for you, what to do now, how to continue. Is scene set for g5? Actually, it is. Let's see. H takes. Beautiful move was played now. You can find it yourself, but I must say that actually any move would bring the win. It is good even to deliver check on h5 right now. But Nakamura played beautiful queen e5. That's how you want to eliminate the pawn. g5 move was needed actually to open diagonal to the bishop. You cannot force black to play f takes g, because if you take, he will take with a rook. Even that must be winning because rook h1 and you invade this way. But queen e1 is forced and beautiful. Don't forget, there is threat of check on b8, which can be so dangerous. F e5 would lead to beautiful mate, you already know it. King f7 could be the move, but that was played actually, but queen g3, prosaic. What is the idea? Well, idea is to take twice on g5 and to open f file. Also, don't forget there is e5. Discover attack with idea to open position in front of black king. Black try with g4, but now white played prosaically. Bishop takes. There is nothing black can do. Idea is to deliver check this or that way. Queen c5, preventing the check. Okay, no bishop h5, but white plays bishop e6. So beautiful move that forces soon mate, and black here decided to resign. So black blundered this, but there is no way to escape. He could try something with e5, but okay, that is not something you want seriously to analyze. After check, and this white has, well, let's say something like this, threatening again with check from this side, or of course even more dangerous, queen h6, and that would bring the win. Let me say that black is just lost, and this bishop e6 just forced black's resignation. Black resigned in this moment. Let's see this interesting game once again. What happened is truly interesting. Let's see. Black allowed Kara's attack. It happened, but Nakamura decided to play slowly to transfer to some kind of Scheveningen, classical Scheveningen. You know, classical Scheveningen is a6, b5, bishop b7 setup. Modern Scheveningen is implemented by Kasparov in early 80s. That is system without a6, where black plays bishop d7, bishop e7, and tries to play on queen side using c-file. So what happened in the game is knight e5, queen e2, preventing knight c4, preparing f4. Black played g5, which is better than b5. After b5, let me say once again, that can be forced continuation, proving white is dominant. That must be winning for white. Of course, g5 looks better, and it is, but f4 anyway happens. After knight f, d7, castling b5, white works on f file. That is logical, and white wants to eliminate knight e5. Eliminate blockading piece. Always try to install piece in front of opponent's central pawn is safe. That's motto parole of black in Aaron Nimzovich manner. Knight on e5 speaks for itself. White wants to eliminate it, and knight f3 is moved with that idea. Knight e5, to be fair, would be better. This is just a situation so unpleasant for black. He stays without any potential promising active plan. After bishop d4, b4, knight a4, knight c4 was played. Still there is knight d2, reopening the file with another intention to exchange this dangerous knight. Black missed knight c5, which is objectively the best. He played this, and now after this fantastic b3 and fantastic knight relocation to c4 brings white so dangerous initiative. After knight e5, bishop e5 is failure. Rook f1 is the best, bishop f1, and suddenly, and a bit shockingly, black can switch to queen side. Just take a look. Bishop f1, doubling, maybe bishop e5, knight c4, invasion on d6 spot. All that is possible because black has rook h7 out of the game. But Nakamura was not ready, was not well prepared and motivated and focused on the queen side. He was not ready to play on the queen side, which would be just taken without any risk. Rook h7 is out of the game, and that would, I'm pretty sure, bring to a relatively easy win. He took primitively, and black could take even with a queen. Knight c4, black did mistake with this. As said earlier, queen c5 would be just good endgame for black. After rook c4, black sacrifice exchange for nothing. There is no counterplay. It would be good for black if he can transfer bishop to c5, d4 to play for a mate, but there is no way. No way and no time to do this. After f6, white is focused on opening f file to deliver the mate. Queen e5, taking would lead to mate. Not taking just prolonged the game, but after this, black was forced to resign. Black blundered bishop e6, but even without this, his position remains lost. Queen e4, of course, leads to end after this. That is winning, and there is nothing black can do. King g7. There is queen attacking the rook, so rook g1 skewer brings easy win. Black blundered. That is not blunder. Position is lost. That is, let's say, maybe bluffed. Maybe he tried to check if white will see, or maybe he just played queen c5 and he missed bishop e6. So anyway, there is nothing black can do to escape, and this is well convinced and still well-deserved victory for Nakamura. That will be all about this video. I hope you find so instructive and interesting that introducing game into the course. So let's go on with next masterpieces made in Blitz games on the board and in internet events. I hope you are warmed up well and you are ready to analyze next videos. Let's go to next video.